This is your Vision Master podcast from Intelliversity, and I am Robert Stephen Kramars, the co-founder of Intelliversity. And today we have a very interesting guest you may recognize. This is Not Elon Musk. How are you, Not Elon?
I'm doing well, Rob. How are you doing?
We're going to be talking about some interesting topics. We're going to keep this away from the usual technical talk that other interviewers use, but it won't be the stupid shit that Joe Rogan talked about either. So I hope that the listeners will get something of value out of this.
All right.
Surprising. So you, Elon, or Not Elon, you're familiar with my concept of vision master and execution master. Am I correct on that?
You are. I read Born to Star. Thank you for sending me a copy. I won't be autographing it, but I'll be keeping it. Thank you. It's a good book.
You won't be. So what did you, so do you think from the book, you are more like Edison or like Tesla?
That's a great question. Obviously, I have great admiration and respect for Nikola Tesla. I mean, I named Tesla Motors after him. And I think he's underappreciated in today's intellectual community, or whatever the term is. But reluctantly, I think I'm more like Edison, because Edison actually brought products to market and actually changed lives. They weren't theoretical; they were real shit.
Okay.
So I'd rather make real shit than have great ideas.
Well, I mean, you have both, real shit.
I have both, but I'd rather, yeah. Thank you.
Right. So isn't that the kind of the definition of vision master, is someone who has great visionary ideas and makes them happen?
That's probably, right out of your book, right? I mean, I guess you would consider Tesla to be a visionary and Edison to be a vision master.
Right. There you go. And you don't mind the fact that maybe Edison stole some of his ideas and bullied people? Doesn't that bother you?
Not really. I mean, if your purpose on Earth is to make a change and to improve mankind, I think that the ends may justify the means to a point. I mean,
well, that we're gonna get back to that question of is Elon Musk or is not Elon Musk an asshole in just a moment. But you're kind of queuing up that conversation, aren't you? Not Elon, by making that remark.
Well, but it's true.
All right, so let's go there. Let's go to that question. Not Elon.
Okay.
Are you an asshole?
I can be an asshole. But I'm not an asshole. Because I think the technical definition of asshole, and I love the fact that we're doing this, the technical definition of an asshole is somebody who that's their way of being. As opposed to, let's say, a jerk, which I'll own up to, I'm a jerk. But I can be an asshole, but I can also not be an asshole. And I think an asshole is an asshole all the time. And a jerk can choose it as a way of being if it's appropriate for a particular situation. So
you don't feel like you're like an asshole is someone who feels they're entitled to be an asshole. That becomes who they are. Whereas the jerk just uses it as a way of solving problems.
That's right.
Something like that.
Sometimes you just got to be an asshole.
Or at least a jerk, right?
I'm always a jerk, but I could be an asshole when I need
so
to.
For you, you're entitled to be a jerk, but not entitled to be an asshole. Am I correct on that?
Well, I don't know if entitled, because I don't like the word entitled, but if you are a jerk, that's who you are, right? It's not an entitlement.
All right. I think we've kind of beat this subject to death, but this brings back the subject of you've quite often pointed out that we're living in a simulation. We might be living in a simulation.
We might.
Right. And at other times you've said, thank God I have someone like Wynn Shotwell to work with over at SpaceX, right? So how do you reconcile the fact that you say, thank God, and then the next conversation, we're living in a simulation?
Well, if you think about it, thank God is just a saying. And back to your simulation question, it's kind of like smoking dope. I mean, a lot of people question whether smoking dope makes you a better lover or you just think you are. So it doesn't really matter, does it, whether you are or you think you are? And it's the same thing with the simulation. I mean, it doesn't matter whether we're in a simulation or we believe in God. It really isn't going to change our outcomes
Well,
in any
it,
way.
aren't they pretty much the same thing? I mean,
Depends. I mean, if you're a deep believer, you would be offended if I said they were, and that's the power or the danger, if you will, of thinking that way, right? Because to me, whether it's a simulation or whether there is a God doesn't make any difference. But if you're a believer,
I got you.
I'm gonna alienate those people. So
You've never really been afraid of alienating anybody, have you, Elon? Not Elon.
me, well, I think it's cool to alienate people. I
Yeah,
mean,
now we're getting closer to the truth.
if you don't do that, there's no discord. There's no everybody's nodding their head and nobody's making stuff happen. So
All
I want
right,
to make.
so then you view yourself as a disruptor, which is a characteristic of a vision master.
Yep.
How would you? So, what's the difference between being what you are, a vision master, and being an execution master, like Gwynn and like Robin Denholm, for example?
Well, my job is to disrupt, and I'm not looking to make marginal improvements in things. I want things to be 10 times better.
Right.
And so, as a vision master, I'm looking for this 10x improvement. But the execution master's job is to put that into reality and make it happen.
Well, isn't that your job to put it in reality and make it happen too? That's what
My
you said
job,
earlier.
yeah, it did, but my job is to find the right person to make
Ah,
that happen. I'm still the architect of the strategy because that's the role of a vision
well,
master.
if you're the disruptor, if that's your role, what would their role be?
To keep me from messing things up.
Well,
But
they're more like stabilizers. So you disrupt a lot, they stabilize, right? That's
right, because that's what it takes. I mean, your book pointed it out. I'm not arguing with it. It's there's something in a vision master's personality, because we probably have very short attention spans, that is not going to make sure that the idea came to fruition. And maybe that's what some of the delay was in Tesla.
well, yeah, it's interesting. So let's go to that subject. So in Tesla, we're in SpaceX. You pretty well have been with Gwynne Shotwell from pretty close to the beginning,
Right.
and she's elevated now to the president's role. Tesla, and SpaceX has been pretty successful since the bad year in 2008. It's really a rocket ship to the stars right now, right?
Right.
I have fun reading about the spaceship in Texas and all that stuff. Yep.
Yep.
But whereas Tesla was really touch and go until late 2018, and now of course it's rocketed to the moon too. The stock price and the
Stock
profitability.
market.
Yeah. So at, and you under pressure from the SEC, you brought in Robin Denholm to be the chairman of the board in late 2018. Is it any coincidence that the company took off shortly thereafter?
Probably not. I mean, you'd you'd hate for it to be coincidence, but I mean, I know. Look, Robin's an extremely talented person. She figured stuff out very quickly, and she made an impact right away. I wish I'd have done it sooner.
Well, why
But
didn't you do? That's the big question here. That's the really big question. So Tesla was really touch and go and an absolute problem at every turn until 2018 for you. Loss of sleep. Why did you
right,
do it? Why did you wait so long to have her on board or someone like her?
I would have to say that ego certainly played a role. I go back to your vision master analogy. I am a bit of a control freak, maybe just a little. And so I think maybe I wanted to do it myself, and it took quite a while to realize that
You wanted to prove you could do it yourself, because at SpaceX you didn't.
Right.
Yourself. And so now you wanted to prove, gee, maybe I could do it myself.
There may be some truth to that, but
maybe some truth to that.
If Tesla is a failure on my part, I'm happy to accept full responsibility for it.
All right, so Robin comes on, and now everything took off. It's not entirely her doing, but she did play a role in that. You also had Jerome Gillian, who's now in charge of automotive, right?
Right.
President in charge of automotive, I believe. So now, what's the difference between a Jerome Gillian kind of execution master and the Robin Denholm kind of execution master?
Jerome brings very specific skills and talents. I mean, he's a product guy. He's a car guy. And Tesla may be a lot of things, but at its heart, obviously, it's a car company. And so you got to have a car guy in a car company. I mean, you got to have rocket scientists at SpaceX, and you got to have car guys at. It's not rocket science to figure that one out. And so, but that's a different guy, right? Than I need to make the stock go, and I need to make operations go, and it's a different skill set.
Okay, so working with Robin at Tesla, you know from Born to Star that Warren Buffett has a execution master, he being the vision master at Berkshire Hathaway, right? And Warren calls Charlie Munger his no man, because he's always willing to tell him that it's not a good idea, more often than not. Is that how it works with say, Robin Denholm at Tesla?
Not really. I mean, Warren's a very smart guy, and he's in a very different business. He's in the business of possible, but so there are plenty of no's available in that business. I would challenge Robin if she came back with a no, and she probably wouldn't come. Remember, I'm a jerk, so you don't go to jerks and say no.
All right, let me give you an example. So you go to Robin and you say, Robin, we need to set up a gigaplant in every major market. 2 in the U.S., maybe 3, 2 in Europe, 2 in Asia, 3 or 4 in Asia, maybe. That's going to be, it's just obvious to me. It's more environmentally sound, and you want to be closer to the market. So what's it going to, can we do that? What's it going to take to do that? And how would she answer? Would she say no? How would she answer?
She would give me what I call an almost no, right? She would go, well, we got to do this, and it's going to cost that, and it's going to take this long, and we got to fund it, we got to do that, but, and, we didn't get to where we are today by just nodding our heads and accepting no's. We got to where we are by creating an impossible mission challenge, as the press has begun to call it, or whatever the proper term is. So I'd probably tell Robin, look, you got 14 days. I want you to come back to me with a plan to execute this.
All right.
And the beautiful thing about working with very talented people is she's probably going to come back with something that's better than even I thought was possible. And
I know that Gwynn does that over at SpaceX. You'll tell her, we got to get to Mars by such and such a date. And what? She'll come back with a trip that'll go to Venus and Mars or something like that, That's what she's famous for.
That's the magic that we bring to the market.
But the difference is that Robin doesn't work for you. She's the chairman of the board. You work for her. So wouldn't she be uncomfortable with your giving her a mission impossible? Come back to me in 14 days.
Well, I mean, I'm still a pretty significant shareholder in Tesla, but aside from that, she understands that while she's the chairman of the board, I'm the vision master. And Tesla is going where Tesla is going because of my vision and my vision for the company and my vision for its manufacturing. So it's a slightly different dynamic.
Well, it's interesting. In a upcoming podcast, we're going to cover the women in the life of not Elon Musk. So
Oh
we'll have a
boy.
chance to dive more deeply into why you chose these particular women, and
All
not
right.
just, I'm talking wives as well as chairmen and presidents. And
All right.
I notice you're kind of squirming a little bit there, not Elon. Is that going to be
Well,
a
I was hoping to
problem
stay
for
off
you?
the therapist couch on this interview, but
Well,
I'll gird myself. We'll come back. Women are an important part of my life. I love them.
all right. Well, we're going to put that off until 2 from now, because the next one, what I want to cover is the specific subject of, wait a second, I have it right here. The specific subject of, now I've forgotten it. Give me a second. We may have to cut this pause out. Oh yeah. We're going to go more deeply into how exactly you do this Mission Impossible management style. Because
Okay.
our listeners are vision masters, all of them, or at least they're vision master wannabes. I mean, you're the archetypal vision master. So they're going to listen to you, or not Elon. They're going to listen to you, not Elon, about what to do in terms of managing these very smart people and getting things done. So,
I've always said that, being as I'm speaking to an audience of vision masters or people that are becoming vision masters, as an entrepreneur, if you really want to change an existing market, you better be bringing a lot of improvement to that market, 10 times better. So you don't succeed as an entrepreneur in an established marketplace by bringing incremental change. It's just, why would a consumer adopt a new product for that much change? They would for that much change.
yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Now, but as a venture capitalist in that business, I would say that even with a 10x improvement, only 1 out of 10 succeed, right?
Correct.
But
And
that's
that's where Mission Impossible comes in.
but you're right, because there's obviously, you're not typical, because for your companies, all of them have succeeded, all of them so far. Now you can partly attribute that to the money that you had from PayPal and all that, but there's another factor. It's too many. It's way beyond coincidence that this many successes. So there's got to be something about your management techniques and style that make it possible for all of your ventures to succeed. I'd be happy with 50%, right? I am happy with 50%.
Sure.
So that'll make me that will make me a fortune. Although I'll never be worth $49 billion or whatever it is you're worth now.
I haven't checked today, but yeah, it's up there.
It's up there, yeah. But we're working on it. I am not worth $49 billion. I can assure you of that. But I want to find out, and all the vision masters want to find out what it is that makes you nearly 100% successful in all these ventures when it comes to management, because it's got to be there. So that'll be our next podcast, where we'll be continuing this interview on the Vision Master podcast from Intelliversity with Not Elon Musk. I want to thank you all for your attention. Looking forward to talking to you again next week, Not Elon. And thank you very much.
Roger that, Rob. Thank you.
All right. And by the way, you can, for the Vision Masters out there, you can get the book Born to Star on our website, which is intelliversity.org. And you can also find transcripts of this interview on LinkedIn, on the website, and a couple other places, and the actual video and audio on podcast channels everywhere. So certainly hope you take advantage of that and listen, review, and learn from Not Elon Musk. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye-bye.